Good evening from the UK. How are we all this evening? If you're there and waiting, say hi. Say hi to Stream Elements. I forgot how to speak then. That doesn't bode well. I am just going to share the link and send this over. To Reality Reviews Telegram to let everyone know I am live. How are we all? Hey, it's a lost dingo. Very nice singing earlier, my friend. Very impressed with your prowess. And we have a Rick and we have a Ramius. I was thinking about you earlier, sir. I was wondering where you had gone. I hadn't seen you for a little while. How are you? How is everyone, for that matter? Have we had a good week? You made it to Friday, everyone. You made it to Friday. How good is that? I don't know whether it makes much difference with work schedules or what you have planned, but we made it to Friday. Your voice is absolutely fine, Dingo. Your voice is fine. Everyone is capable of singing. You've just got to know what to do with your voice, because essentially when we talk, we are singing. We use kind of modulation in our voices and things like that. So everyone is capable of it. And yes, thank goodness it is Friday. It is Friday. I am right now officially your start to the weekend. I know that it's about 2 in the afternoon for most of you over in the States. For Lost Dingo, it's lunchtime. It's 12 noon. So okay, I'm your welcome to Friday lunchtime. You've almost made it to the end of the day. Ooh, solar panels. Congratulations. And did you get rid of the giant bush out of your garden? That's the other thing I want to know. But yes, solar panels, great. Great, great, great. My brother and sister-in-law are looking at doing that. They're having their bathroom done at the moment, and I think solar panels is later on in the year. But yeah, I'd love to have solar panels on my house. But where I am planning is a nightmare. Do you know what? I read that panels. It's Friday. It's fine. It is fine. See, this is an interesting one. Over here, I can't speak for the States, but over here, my sister-in-law was saying that the current batteries that are charged up by solar panels cost a ridiculous amount of money, and they only last a couple of years, and there's no ethical, environmentally friendly way of disposing of them yet, which is why they're waiting for information about the new generation that are coming out at the end of the year. So yeah, who knows? Jack Link's beef strips. Is that jerky? Beef jerky? I don't even know what it's. Jack Link's beef strips, smoking hot peach. You all have some amazing food, and honestly, I'm not quite sure what to do with all of that information. Illinois incentive is the only way we did it. Yeah, we've got some good schemes here, but I'm really glad that there are some good schemes going on in states like Illinois. So that's really good. I didn't know you were in Illinois. That's really interesting. I know people from all over the states. I love it. See, I can imagine it being sweet and spicy. The more I think about it, the more I think it will probably work. Do you have to give resources back to your local electric company? It depends on how much power you produce. They do buy it back if you produce too much, but basically it charges up the battery first, and then after that they buy it back at a really, really cheap rate. So yeah, I don't, to be honest with you, I need to educate myself a little bit more about it. It's not cheap though. It's really, really not cheap. Dingo, well, I'm very glad we could be here for your first tasting. I am really glad. It adds to what already comes to the house. That's cool. That's really, really cool. My brother and sister-in-law are pretty rural. They're down a really tiny dirt track. It's like a gravel track with 6, 7 houses on it in the middle of nowhere. So maybe that's part of their problem. Yeah. And also they don't use a lot of electricity. They're really very good at conserving. You know, my brother's at work most of the day. My sister-in-law runs about 1 million businesses out of the house. They don't have a TV. My brother's a gamer, but you know, they're really good at conserving. We are all here, Dingo, to share in your moment and to cheer you on in trying something new, because trying something new is good for you, isn't it? So yeah, are we all ready for the weekend? Are we all good to go for whatever you have planned? I hope you've all had a really good week. It's been a weird week here. It's been a very, very odd week. I ran around getting washing and packing done. The other half has taken our kids down to see my brother and sister-in-law. They're away for 5 days. So it's me and the dog. So it was all hurry up and wait. It was a week of, you know, packing and trying to make arrangements and work things out. And then they went and it was silent. Like, there was no noise. No one needed me for anything. I wasn't hearing the word mum every 3 seconds, and it's been really weird. I'm not gonna lie. I was pretty bored yesterday. And today I tried to get some work done, and the dog decided he would sing me the song of his people. I'd get part the way through recording, and he'd decide that he'd go Burke. Bless him. He's not coping. He doesn't like chaos, but he likes his pack around him. No, that's the other point, Rick. That's the other issue. It's a bit like electric cars. I love the idea of an electric car, but they're not exactly ethically made, and again, the batteries can't be recycled. There's no way of stripping them down and making them safe. So I want to do more, but Um, See, that's my worst nightmare, loopy. You know, that's my worst nightmare. Um, right. So karma. Now I put up a post. Let's see if I can find my post to see if I've had any other votes. That's wow. I am struggling for words today. I am so sorry. Right. So I put up a post 4 days ago. And we had how many votes do we have? It says no, I can't see how many votes. 9 votes. There it is. Sorry, I'm staring from bright light to black screen. That's pretty good, being guaranteed for 25 years. I'm quite impressed. So yeah, karma. So we had 9 votes, which I was quite pleased with. Thank you to everyone who voted. Of those 9 votes, 7 people said yes, they believe in karma, and 2 people said I'm not sure, which actually speaks volumes. I think that surprised me. I expected more skeptics. I really did. I thought we'd be 3-way split. You know, yes, no, and I don't know. I had no idea there were so many believers. So many believers. What did you forget about, Rick? Did I miss something? See, that would be really clever, Loopy. That would be amazingly clever if they could do that. I would be very impressed if they could do that, because that would make a difference. I think more people. It helps if I hit the right button. I think more people would go for it if it was just. It looks standard. At the moment, solar panels kind of look a bit unattractive, don't they? Oh, the poll, don't worry. Don't worry. They are there if you see them and you fancy joining in. They're really helpful to me, actually, because it helps me work out if a topic is popular. It's the same with the otherworldly ghostly poll that I have up there, which has 6 votes. Oh, thank you very much, Leapy Miracle. That was a very nice segue. I like that. Yeah, what is it about karma that's so attractive to us? Because most main religions have a version of karma. And actually, karma has been appropriated by Christian-centric countries over the years. 2 thumbs should be an option. I'll take any thumbs I can get. The thumbs don't do anything for YouTube, but I really like them. I really like them. Because karma originally comes from Asian faiths, predominantly Buddhism and Hinduism being kind of the larger well-known religions out of those two. Um, but of course, we have the various Christian um, religions that have versions of karma and kind of, the lessons in the Bible, do unto others, that kind of thing, and working hard to go to heaven is part of this karmic cycle. Um, and that was actually picked up from the pagan religions as Christianity marched through Europe, and to Britain, and then onto America. Parts of pagan belief in karma, and how that works, because for um, uh, more specifically in the UK and more Western European countries, it was, the power of three. Whatever you put out or whatever you give comes back to you threefold. And it's been folded in. Um, uh, Absolutely spot on. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Because in the original faiths, original faiths in Buddhism and Hinduism, it is about balance. It is about aiming to put more positivity out. No worries, Gina, no worries. Um, uh, Sorry, I'm just people make their beds, and when they only care about hurting, it comes around to hurt them. Yeah. May not be right way. Yeah, I think sometimes we hope that karma is going to hit people in the bum sooner than it does, and that's very much our version of karma. Is this idea, what goes around comes around, and that there has to be this kind of cosmic balance, um, and unfortunately, good things happen to good people and bad things happen to good people, and the same for not very good people. And sometimes there's no rhyme or reason. And is karma a way of kind of being able to let go of the bad and say, well, you'll get yours, you know, something will come around to you and I can let go of that karma is going to get you? Or is it actively true? Because our version of karma, the West's version of karma, is very much like that, of, karma will come back to you. Whereas in Buddhism, karma doesn't care. Karma isn't this cosmic balance sheet. It just is, and you work towards your own karma, so that when you're reincarnated, you go on to a better life. Yeah, I'm not going to share. There's a X-rated or R-rated. Is it R-rated? The adult movies, 18 plus, version of that gets used here. It's basically, if you don't want to be treated like a insert insult here, then don't act like a insert same insult. And it's true. And that's something I think we can all empathize with on some level or another. Um, you know, especially, I mean, it's actions and consequences, isn't it? When there's a direct link, there's a causal link to our comeuppance, that helps. But you know, some people are oblivious to it. Some people do um treat people badly, and then when something comes around to them, they're like, but why me? What did I do? And they are oblivious to the consequences of their actions. um it's what you learn from that experience as well, isn't it? Sorry, I'm just making sure I've not missed anything. um yeah, there's, oh, I think karma is less of a consequence thing because it comes back when you least expect it. Maybe, instead of being an instant, like putting your hand in a fire. Yeah, I mean, I don't mean instant karma. I mean, there are times, mostly in our house, someone will say something that's actually really funny, but a little bit mean, and then instantly, trip over something. Um, uh, but yeah, it's whether you learn from that, whether you take that lesson of, hang on a minute, I don't feel good about what's just happened to me, you know, and apply it to past situations and your own actions, and that kind of thing. If it's like we teach children, that's how we teach children not to be mean, isn't it? um you know it's upsetting when someone calls you a bad name. So why would you call someone else a bad name and make them feel that way? It's um mm, and yeah, Gina, there are so many examples of this in almost every religion. um and that's what makes me think about it, is it a real thing, or do things happen and we interpret it in line with religious or cultural beliefs? Because in Hinduism, Buddhism, karma isn't this cosmic balance sheet. It's not someone deciding if you've done a good enough job. We're all responsible for our own karma, good and bad. Karma doesn't care about us as individuals. Karma is just karma. um mm, Sorry, I'm just catching up. Oh, Husker. Sorry, it's my dog. um Loopy Miracle, that is a passage that everyone knows, even if they aren't familiar with where it comes from. Yeah, it's one of the big lessons, isn't it, that we take away. Haskell, come on. Oops. Yeah, but the thing is here, Dingo, is you actually have the hindsight. You were able to use that hindsight. I'll be back in a moment. I'm just going to tell the dog off. Sorry about that. He is such a melon, honestly. Sorry, where were we? Yeah, I mean, it is a really interesting, it's kind of, it's a pervasive thing in most cultures, isn't it? We teach our kids to be nice. We teach our kids to look out for the more vulnerable in society, and that gets lost um, all too quickly as adults. We become so focused inward, um, and that's really sad. Um, but it is something, I find myself saying it. My mum used to say it an awful lot, which is ironic given her position on most other things. Um, uh, yes, he did. He did the same thing earlier. "Oh, I've had a snooze, so time for a bark." He's a little bit on edge. He doesn't like his pack not being here. He really doesn't. I think because it's a prolonged thing and may not happen right away, people don't have the hindsight and are unable to remember what they did that could have caused bad luck. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we've spoken about this before, this idea that people aren't able to look inwards, when things aren't going their way. The first thing I do is, and this is trauma training from my childhood, is work out how it's my fault so I can fix it. And in some ways, that's not a healthy thing, because it isn't always my fault, but it has given me the ability to stand back and kind of go, okay, how has this happened? And what could have caused it? What have I done? How can I fix that? How can I learn from that? How can I change the way I'm being? How can I put more positivity out there? How can I connect with people better? Um, some people just don't have that ability, or they don't have the people around them that can maybe help them get there. For some people, that's a pastor or a minister. Some people, that's a friendship group or a healthy family situation, a partner that loves us and is able to kind of go, no, no, that was you. Um, you know, oh, that's an interesting point. Consequence and karma play off each other. Hmm. Oh, sorry, I misread that. Conscience and karma. Yeah, I mean, is there anything in that? Is it like a nocebo? We know we've done something bad, so we're willing ourselves to, you know, have bad luck. Because good and bad luck can be affected by mindset. There was a really interesting experiment that Darren Brown did. He's I guess you'll call them mentalists. Um, but he's an illusionist, I guess. But he did a bunch of TV series where he would work with someone to influence an outcome. So he debunked the theory that you couldn't hypnotize someone. Like it was not possible to hypnotize someone into doing something they wouldn't normally do. And he hypnotized someone to quote unquote kill Stephen Fry. And it was a setup. He had a prop gun, and Stephen Fry was equipped with a squib. But he proved that it could be done. Well, what he also did was he went through the selection process, and he picked two people, one that did not believe in horoscopes, who thought it was all bunkum, and another one who absolutely believed everything. And he left it a few months and planted horoscopes in, um, kind of in their mailbox. And the one that believed in horoscopes, he gave a bad horoscope. Something awful is going to happen, or beware of these things. And the one that didn't believe in horoscopes had a really positive, today is your lucky day kind of horoscope. They both lived out the same day. Everything about their day was planned out by the crew. It was exactly the same day. And one of them, the one that believes in horoscopes and had a negative horoscope, just had a miserable day, absolutely miserable day. And they were filming this person through their day. The same with the one that had the positive thing. And when they were interviewed afterwards about their day, the one who had the positive horoscope was like, "Oh, today was great. It was great. I went into the coffee shop and the chap in front of me paid it forward and bought my coffee for me. So I paid, for the next person, and that made them really happy. And, that started off the day great. And I found a £5 note on the floor, and all of these things happened. And the one that had the bad horoscope had a miserable day, and they played the days back to them. And the one that had the miserable horoscope literally had the same day. The person in front of them paid for their coffee. They found they missed the £5 note that was on the floor in front of them. And they missed every opportunity. And it's because they were told it was going to be a bad day. And the one that didn't believe in horoscopes, that had the great day, because it was a great day, they were more aware of what was happening around them and how they were interacting with people. They were looking out for the thing in that day that was going to make their day, the thing that was going to make it positive. And so they were more aware of the £5 on the floor or whatever. And it's really interesting. Sorry, I'm just checking up. Do, do, do. Yeah, and I think that's a really interesting point. Is are we keeping our own cosmic scorecard? Are we, it doesn't matter what the spiritual belief or the religious belief or the rationale behind it is, are we subconsciously keeping our own scorecard? And if we are, what makes us do that? If we don't have a book, a Bible, or holy scriptures or anything else like that, to kind of give us this impression of heaven and hell. But that's really interesting. I do believe that there is a cosmic balance. I also think people interpret karma with bad situations, but positive things aren't regarded as karma. Yeah. I think that there is an equal amount of good and bad. I do too. And I think we have to have bad in the world so that we can see the good. If everything was sunshine and roses all of the time, we wouldn't appreciate what we have. We wouldn't be learning lessons. Everything would just be idyllic. Without the dark, you can't see the light. But this is the other point about karma, true karma from Buddhist and Hindu and other faiths, is there is good karma and there is bad karma. And every time you do something good, every time you put positivity out there, every time you achieve something for yourself or others, you gain good karma. and every time you do the opposite, you get bad karma. But also for them, that karma follows you. It is eternal. So you can be hit in this life for bad karma in the last. Which, is somewhat unfair if we don't remember our past lives. But, I quite I don't know that that's any different than the idea of heaven or hell. Our karma in this life follows us into the afterlife, whether we're reincarnated or we go to a final eternal place. That karma is following us, isn't it? That's how we got there. That good karma or bad karma. Sorry, I shall stop waffling and I shall catch up on the chat. Some don't listen to their conscious either. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, who is that little voice inside of us? The one that most of us have. Not everyone has one. Not everyone understands having a conscience. And some people aren't born with one. They aren't wired to have one. But yeah, and I think again, this comes down to what we're open to and what we're open to exploring. And it goes back to the parable we were talking about the other week. I sent you a radio report, a man in a rowboat and a helicopter. What are you doing here? Is it your internal voice or is it the still quiet voice of God? Because that's how Stephen King wrote it. There's a book that he wrote called Desperation. It's a pretty dark book, but there's a boy in that, David, who hears God, and it's phrased as the still small voice of God. Gotta love priming. Is that Darren Brown kind of setting people up to see what they did with it? That's a really nice way of phrasing it. That's a really lovely thing. Yeah, definitely. I think people take good things that happen to them for granted. They only really pay attention when they're negatively affected. I'm very aware that I've got to have done something right, because I have all of you that are watching. I have the 5 of you that are here now, and the ones that watch on the replay, my little community that I love. And I must have done something right. I must, that is good karma. I think this one is an interesting comment, Dingo. I understand that karma can be good as well, but I know that seeing justice done to those who are deemed to deserve it is satisfying. That is why, in my opinion, we look for the bad karma. Yeah, I think you're right. There's something. It's really awful. We're in that terrible ground of judging people, aren't we? But yeah. No, I love Desperation. I love Desperation. Did you read The Regulators, which is a variation on the theme? It's all of the same characters, but in different roles. Um, that one's a bit weird. That one's definitely a bit weird. I really liked Desperation. Um, I am really enjoying. Oh, it's downstairs. I've got a few books. I've got multiple books on the go. I need to stop that. Yeah, I think we are really interested, maybe too interested in the idea of the struggle of good versus evil, and that justice is a given, because it isn't. Have you ever been done wrong and you want to get back at them, but tell yourself, don't fall into the bad? That person will somehow get what's coming to them. Yeah. Yeah, I have a lot. The problem is that, I mean, certain personality types seem to attract people that take advantage or use you up and spit you out, right? And don't get me wrong, I am not perfect. I have made many mistakes. I could have treated people better. I've always tried to learn from that. But yeah, there have been more than a few people that I've kind of gone, I'm not going to rise to it. I'm not. At some stage, your negativity is going to bring you bad karma, or is you're going to come a cropper, is something we say, is, eventually someone's going to come along that is bigger and stronger and meaner than you. Yeah, I think I've always, yeah, I think this is quite common. Has anyone else thought that? I think we'll be surprised that that is more common than you think, you know, whether it's, and it doesn't really matter how we phrase that. It could be, one day you're going to meet your maker and have to justify, or karma's going to come back to you, or Cellular was a not a great book. I didn't enjoy Cellular either. You're not alone. People, regardless of beliefs, think that good should be rewarded and bad should be punished. But as we are now, people have put the can't read, I'm sorry, put the responsibility of judgment on others who are flawed. Yeah. I think I'm a big believer in personal responsibility, looking at something and kind of going, okay, well, it was a bad situation for everyone. How do I learn from this? How do I not make this horrific mistake and, lose friends or cause problems or cause myself problems? And we're, unfortunately, without wanting to make it political, but we look to, our elders and betters, right? I was always taught, respect your elders and betters. They know better than you do, and it's not true. It's it's a big old lie. Unfortunately, and that teaches you that someone else is watching, someone else is going to be responsible, and we have to be responsible for our own actions and our own consequences, our own bad karma, you know. Um, it's it's like I recorded a thing about this earlier, but it's like fate. Is there a destiny? Is there a divine destiny, a divine purpose for all of us? And if there is, does that just make it easy for us to coast and not better ourselves? Because that destiny is just going to reveal itself, and ta-da, I'm going to be, I don't know, I started off strong and I utterly failed. That destiny is just going to reveal itself to me. And we're kind of handing responsibility for that over. Um, you know, I'm a firm believer of we make our own fate. We make our own perfect time. Instead of waiting, if we just say, no, this is something I want and I'm gonna achieve it, or I'm gonna go and, instead of putting off charity work until Thanksgiving or Christmas, gonna go down to the soup kitchen today. You know, uh, See, I'm pretty sure you are thinking of chivalry in the common parlance rather than the original chivalry, which was not a good, like, think toxic masculinity, but with horses and armor and swords and stuff. Um, Taking it back to karma, thank you, because I can rant about the other thing. Uh we have watered down what karma is before the time we know. Before the time we know, there was always something that kept track of how karma was dealt out. Maybe, maybe. I mean, I did some research for this, and I watched and listened to um some people that are far more knowledgeable than me, which is most people. And that's where, you know, I came to the understanding that karma doesn't care, it just is. Which, I like that. I like that. I like the fact that that puts responsibility back on the person to look after their own karma. You know, for them, karma is a certainty. It's up to you whether it's good or bad karma. Yeah, I mean, I can't speak for what's happening in the States, because this is the second or third week in a row where we've talked about the next generations. And actually, from my experience of, what's happening with friends and other people in the States, I actually have a lot of hope um, for Generation Z, Gen Z, as you would call them. I have a lot of hope. These are people that are actively trying to change the country. They're actively working towards real uh, political and legal changes so that they can save lives. And that gives me a huge amount of hope. It really, really does. And certainly over here, um, the changes that we've seen um, with our teenagers over here, um, you know, we've got a path that leads, it's a little pathway. It's got trees on one side and houses and trees on the other side, and leads down to a park. And 8 years ago when I moved to the area, that was full of hoodlums. I'm not gonna, it was, sorry, hoodlum is the wrong word. It was full of kids, teenagers that were up to no good. These days, 8 years later, you see teenagers walk down there and they're walking really nicely, and they're, saying hello to people, and their music isn't on, at an obnoxious level. We've seen um, teenagers in supermarkets, two lads holding hands, followed by two more lads holding hands, and you know, w- another lad meeting up with them from the same school, kind of going, "Why are you all holding hands?" It's like, well, why not? But also, if it makes other people feel more comfortable to be their genuine selves, then why wouldn't we? Like that, that good nature is really coming through, and it's certainly how we're raising our kids. Like the proudest moment this year, or this school year just gone, for my eldest, was her teachers saying how kind and caring she is. She is the first person there if someone cries, and it's not so that she can make it about her, it's so that she can help. She'll ask them what they need, and then she'll go get it. And I think that is something that is happening. I really, really do. Maybe maybe I'm just an idealist. Maybe I'm just a dreamer. Um, yeah, I mean, the kind of code of ethics that we all share. Um, but I genuinely, I think that's coming back. I really, really do. Um, I think we have a bit of a lost generation. We've got a lost generation of 20 to 30 somethings whose parents are my age, maybe a little bit older, who were brought up in with 70s and 80s parenting. Because honestly, I mean, I look back to I look back to some of the parenting that was around me when I was 5, 10, 15 years old. And I'm kind of, no wonder, because we weren't raised to know how to raise kids. We weren't given the same support as our parents had. Our parents had extended family, and it took a village. But when it came to that point in kind of my training as a human being, my parents didn't pass that on. So I think there's like a generation of both lost parents and lost teenagers who didn't have the skills. And we're now coming into a period where, those skills are coming back. They really are. Um, maybe I'm just too hopeful. Um, let's have a look at some messages. Um, yeah. I mean, we have had some kind of religion, some kind of um, cultural beliefs around how we should live our lives for 240,000 years. They found it. If it's on Netflix in the States, please, please, please go and watch it. It's called Unknown. Unknown. I will look it up. It's a series called Unknown. There are other episodes, but it's something caves. Unknown. Netflix. They have found a cave of bones. That's it. Thank you, Google. They have found a cave. It is virtually. Oh, I mean, it's not virtually impossible because obviously people have gone in there, but it's incredibly hard to get to the back of these caves, but they have found a new species of humanoid that lived 240,000 years ago, and they had burial practices, which meant that they had some kind of spiritual belief, and they buried their dead with items, which means that they believed that there was something beyond life, which meant that, you know, they had to have had speech and language and all sorts of other stuff. And you look back on that, and that is as human as or humanoid, because we aren't actually related to them. They're a separate, you know, like Homo erectus or Neanderthal, kind of parallel evolution type thing. And they were tiny. They were really wee. But it just proves that, you know, this something keeping score, this, you know, whether it's a deity, a god, a you know, something that we can't describe, like karma or, you know, the universe, that is, or our ancestors that are keeping score. It is literally as old as time. And you know, I think it's really interesting which came first. That's a real shame. Like, is that universal? Is that your area of the States? You know, I would be interested to know kind of what that's all about. It's Yvonne. It's Yvonne Hates Injustice. Hello, Yvonne. How are you feeling? How's your shoulder? Have the meds started settling down yet? Wow. Holy typo, Batman. Since we're talking about karma, that it's a little bit harsh. Yeah, I mean, it does exist everywhere. And it, you know, it depends on whether kids are allowed to be a brat at home, really. But yeah, I don't know. I think in general terms, I'm really very positive about the future in terms of people and movements and, you know, becoming more of a just society, becoming more of an accepting, supportive society, doing more about mental health, doing more to help the most vulnerable, and get back to looking out for each other. I'm very hopeful with that. There are many things that I'm not as hopeful about. Who knows? Yeah, I mean, generally speaking, and don't answer if you don't want to, but do you think that you have a balance of karma, or do you think you have more bad karma or good karma? I think it came from the generation of kids that got participation trophies instead of learning what losing was. See, I don't get that, because we don't have that here. It's not something I've ever seen. Some of that brush off karma because they are too egotistical. Little do they know that oh, come on, camera. We are all less than a speck of dust when it comes to the whole cosmic galaxy. Yeah, we are. We came from stardust. We're going to go back there, you know. And really, we're a blip in history, aren't we? As individuals, we are. We are nothing special. In 100 years' time, no one's, beyond our family and anyone who watches on YouTube, if it's still around, will know who we are. I just think that our job while we are here is to do as much good as we can and to make other people's lives a lot easier. When we're taught to drive here, one of the things that they say is, your job as a driver is to get from point A to point B without crashing the car or being an inconvenience to other road users. And that's pretty much what life is, isn't it? Our job is to be born and go through life until whenever our last day is without being an inconvenience to other drivers on the road. I know what I was trying to say. That was a very convoluted metaphor again. Not too bad today. Meds are starting to finally settle, thank goodness. I'm glad you were able to get out and about today. That's awesome. Keep being a warrior. Absolutely. You can do this, Yvonne. We are 100% rooting for you. You can absolutely do this. We've got your back. I feel like I have a quite a good amount of bad karma built up, but I know by the life I am living now that I also have a good amount of good karma that I wasn't aware of. Yeah. I agree, Dingo. I mean, I don't know everything about your life or, where you're at now, but we love and accept you for who you are. We're all very aware of the fact that we're all a work in progress. We've all made mistakes. We've all had triumphs. That is the human condition. We are all flawed, I think, by design. But yeah, I think you definitely have good karma. You are balanced, if not slightly tipping into the good. You've only just got back. You dirty stop out. Good for you. Good for you. I am so glad you were able to go out. Yay. Go Yvonne. Had awful karma, time for the good now. How much good in your life do you attribute or do you put into the plus column though, Yvonne? Like, I know you have horrible medical conditions and I don't want to take that away from you. It's hard. It is so hard. But you have also been through, other people mistreating you and you have come out the other side and you've turned that into something positive. You have raised kids who are amazing human beings. You've got grandchildren who are cuter than all get out. You are sweet and kind and supportive and we love you. We absolutely think the world of you. Do you see those positive things as good karma? Or as just what's owed for the bad karma that you've been through? Oh wow. I've just had a pop-up come up. Gosh, that is hard. Um, well, that feels like karma. I've just had a photograph come up on my memories. I didn't realize it was going to come up on my computer. It is my two kids 2 years ago being they're doing coloring, and my youngest one has really short hair, which I wasn't expecting. But 2 years ago, I was down at my brother and sister-in-law's house, getting ready for my mum's funeral tomorrow. And I wasn't expecting that. That was a little bit of a moment. But my kids look really cute, so you know, that's a win. So one thing I've done well is bring those two amazing people into the world. Yvonne really does deserve the very best of karma, if nothing else for the fact that she's bought Steve some really nice birthday presents. Can you be my mum? You're not old enough to be my mum. You still you count those as paid for, yeah. Yeah. You don't attribute your medical or mental health conditions to karma. You see those things as life needed to balance things. You are intelligent. You really are. Yeah, I mean, my mum used to say, with her health condition, that I must have been bad in a previous life. I must have been a terrible person. I don't know what I did in a previous life to deserve this. And it was kind of shifting acceptance and blame. There were certain things that my mum did to herself in terms of her health, but also, there are things that just happen. Genetics is a thing, people. Um, and sometimes we are just really, really unlucky with our health conditions. I got stung by a jellyfish and wasn't bad karma. I didn't realize there was a jellyfish, you know? So, and I also have genetic stuff. It's the luck of the draw rather than, you know, I mean, I think it's one thing if you really do believe in reincarnation and that's where the karma has followed you from, but you then work to get good karma, right? If you believe that bit, you've got to believe the other bit too. You've, you know, um, is my view of it. You can't pick and choose. It's like picking and choosing, you know, any law or law of nature or whatever else that you agree with to back up your point and then ignoring all of the others. Um, yep, it is all good karma from here on out. It is all rewards and love. Absolutely. Um, uh, Oh, see, this is also a really interesting point. Um, is there a cosmic trade-off sometimes? Um, We lost our friend Jack. He was an amazing guy. He was just always such a lovely person to be around. He was fun and intelligent and sweet and kind. And he had a heart attack at 30 and died. Not even 30. Same with our friend G. You know, he was absolutely plagued with mental health and physical health conditions. Um, but he, again, was one of the nicest people you could ever meet. He was hilarious, massively inappropriate. Him and his brother were, you know, both in Mensa, both incredibly intelligent. And some people, I think, just burn too bright. They're only meant to be here for a short period of time because they have these lessons that they need to teach people. You know, there is definitely a reason both of those people were in my life. Absolutely blessed to have known them. You know, they were good karma. You know, I think there is a trade-off. I don't think I would be the person I am now if I wasn't stung by that jellyfish. If, you know, if I hadn't have got sick. And it's given me an insight and a different way of thinking. I genuinely think that. And it's the same with the PTSD. You know, I definitely wouldn't be doing this if I never developed it. I wouldn't have found my passion and what I want to do in connecting and helping people if I hadn't have gone through that myself. And if I still didn't, you know, if suddenly someone went, hey, I've got a cure for all of the things, I don't think I'd take it. I really don't. I wouldn't want to lose the empathy that I've gathered from being sick. You know, and I'm not saying that anyone that would take that cure is wrong or bad for doing it. I wouldn't begrudge you taking it at all. I think I would just be too scared of, you know, losing who I am. Yay! Someone agrees with me. Are we all bored of karma? Like, there are times that there's a Chinese curse, which is "May you live in interesting times," and I think we've all had enough of interesting times, haven't we? Like, I would love just a week of, it's been all right. I don't need amazing. I just need, yeah, it's been all right. Yeah, I mean, this comes back to the idea of fate, which, you know, I will do a separate video or stream or something on that. But yeah, I think I can find meaning to what I've been through. I can find a reason to turn that into something positive, to learn from it and help others with it. Oh, this seems dangerous now. I didn't want to bring people down. I didn't want to make people think too hard. I'm so sorry, Dingo. How do I make it better? Is everyone still awake? Like everyone's the chat has gone very quiet. I'm really worried that I've upset you. Are you all okay? Oh, that's really cool. Not in a bad way, but in a way that is like reverence of ideas. I think sometimes it does us good to step into the more philosophical discussions and explore how we feel about it. Because I mean, again, there is no one size fits all. It is really individual. It is our unique perspective on these things. It's just the same as religion or any number of and politics and things like that. No two people are going to agree on the same thing, and it's not going to mean the same thing to multiple people. I think I think we need to sometimes examine our own thoughts and feelings about stuff. Ramius, feel free to use as many sentences as you like. I don't think I've put a limit on it. But if you want to put in if anyone wants to put in a big comment, if you need more than one box, I'll star them and we'll bring them up. Like if you put a 1 and a slash, I'll know that it's a multi-part comment and we'll bring them up. Sorry. I always was convinced that karma was a lie until I saw it with my own eyes. Ooh. I try to help others or support them with what I can. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I very much think that this community, and the community that we share with Sadin and Gina and Lost Dingo and Reality Review, is it is definitely good karma. Definitely good karma. Thank you for thank you for checking that, Dingo. Yeah, I think it automatically goes to 200 characters. Hello there, my YouTube. Welcome to the live stream. And hey, Temp. Hello. How are you, sir? Can I change that? And where can I change that? Customization. Let's see if it's in here. Sorry, I'm having a look. I don't know if it's something I can change. No. It would appear that it's not. I will look into it for our next big Our next big chat. Oh, you are allowed to have a nap. It's 11 p.m. where you are. Yeah, it must 11 or 12. So yeah, you are absolutely allowed to have a nap. Please, please never apologize for sleeping. Um I don't blame you. I do not blame you for staying inside. It's been really humid here. It's been horrible. Um Do you know, I am so glad you said that. Because there are times when I send a wall of a response on, wherever it is. I really struggle to boil my thoughts down to a 10-word answer, and that includes 12 emojis. You know, I've been very paranoid about it because I'm quite a wordy person, and it's, I don't mean to be a wordy person. I try so hard. A life of cliff notes. The thing is, I mean, it is really, really difficult to have an in-depth, philosophical discussion in, 200 characters or less. Um, oh, so you had the summer breeze today. It's not my day until Thursday. Um, um, we only get one breeze. We have to share it. Unless it's, blowing a gale outside. Do you know, our garden is overgrown. It's one of the that every time we think about going out to mow the lawn, it just the heavens open. That's it. Oh, unintentional pun. Hey, we've got a stay. How's the stream been so far? It has been surprisingly deep. I didn't think it would go that way. I thought we'd explore the theme of karma and then, have a bit of a laugh. But apparently we've all been very, very deep in thought and exploring this big philosophical debate with ourselves, I think. A lot of Greek philosophy was why. Yeah, but that's where it starts, isn't it? As a species, we're curious. We want to know why. That's why we're scientists and explorers. And, I thought it was an intentional pun, but it's perfect either way. Yeah, as Ramia says, the garden can wait. It can wait. You are the first temp. Not once has anyone said that I've seen. And yes, hello, Steve. Things may get just a little bit surreal now that Steve and Dingo are both on the same stream at the same time. And yes, happy birthday to Steve for Sunday. I hope you have a great day. I really, really do. Also, a belated happy birthday to Jill for when she watches this on replay. I hope you're having a great night out. Just please drink water as well. No more hangovers. Uh-oh. Ramius, you may want to cover your ears now. Auntie Giggles is here. She is a professional widow on husband 24. And things get surreal when she comes in. It's just going to go downhill from here, isn't it? I think we need a bit of a giggle. I do, after such an in-depth conversation. Don't forget, I now have a podcast. You can find it on Spotify. It is called Podalytical. Normally I can say it fine. Where I take other subjects and some of the things that we discuss here, and I do a bit more of a deeper dive into it. I'm still finding my way with the podcast. Really, I just like talking to myself. Feels like that's what I do for a living. But yeah, Podalytical on Spotify. I will be transferring things over to here as well. There is now a podcast tab on my page, on the channel page, that you can find Podalytical on. Honestly, every time I have said it fine. I get on a live stream, cannot say it. But yes, I will populate that over the next week or so. So if you want more from me, there's 3 episodes up. They're only short episodes at the moment as I'm easing myself into it. 22. 22. I'm nearly twice your age, Steve. I am old enough to be your mum. Well, I am stunned to silence. Just, if you want me, I'll be under my desk crying. You are a baby. And a grown-up all in one body. I am not going to bring that up on screen. I think Steve should be our collective baby. I think we should all take turns parenting him. Is that weird? We'll all look after Steve and Yvonne. To be fair, we'll adopt you both. So yeah, so it's been a bit of an in-depth conversation. Oh no, you have to pay taxes. Being an adult sucks. Do you have to pay any other bills though? So oh, sorry, Ramius. You are still kicking though. You are still going strong. Um, Also, how are you in your 60s? That's got to be a lie. Basically, I don't believe in anyone's age, is what I'm trying to say. I just age is it doesn't exist. Sorry, I'm just gonna bring this up. Your mum is amazing. Your mum is so sweet. I was paying rent uh, at a ridiculous rate to my mother when I moved back in at 18. Um, so I think it's really nice that your mum looks after you. She's a good egg. How dare you put food first? No, absolutely go and eat. To be honest with you, I'm pretty tired, so I might call this one a little bit early. 55. Hold on. 55. Sorry. I had to count on my fingers. You were born the same year as my mum. My dad was 54. That's why I was doing maths. I was like, how did I get my maths wrong? Mm. Oh yeah, ding 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 ding. We have a winner, the first person on the live stream to mention food. I'm not quite sure what you've won, Dingo, but oh no, he mentioned food earlier as well. He's been the one to mention food twice. It was pretty much the first thing he did was send us a picture of his beef jerky. I love that phrase, age is not as important as the miles. I like that. I'm gonna have to steal that. I think that is a really lovely way of phrasing it. Because it isn't about the number. It's about the journey, isn't it? And I like that. Have a great evening yourself, Dingo. Enjoy your food. He does. You're both really good people. Like, you both have good karma as far as I'm concerned. Mine too. I struggle to remember my own age. I have to stop and think. I've started getting the numbers the wrong way round. That's not true. I have, in the last 6 months or so, I've filled out 3 or 4 forms, and every single time I've put down a different age. I've put the correct date of birth, but every single time I have kind of 38, 34, I get myself very confused, and I don't think it's old age. I don't think it's old age. I just age is a number, and how we are within ourselves is a state of mind, isn't it? Oh, second person to mention food is Loopy Miracle. I went to school with a couple of people that were, 14 and acted like they were 40 for sure. Yeah, we had quite a few boffins. I don't know whether you all know what boffins are, but the kid that carries the briefcase at school, and they were basically born at the age of 40, I think. But yeah, I mean, it's a state of mind. my body might feel old and battered and not in great shape, but my mind and my sense of humor definitely tell me I'm not in my 40s. Um, um, yeah. It age, it really is a number. I've known a few people that have got to a certain age. My parents had a thing about 40. 40 was a big deal for them. My mum turned 40 and decided that she needed to cut her hair really short and get a granny perm, and start wearing cord trousers and cardigans. And my dad hit 40 and decided that he needed to get himself some hair dye for men. Um, you know, and both of them were hysterical. My dad got over it, my mum didn't. That's possibly why they got divorced. Um, yeah. Temp. Whoop. Yeah, but they weren't really. I mean, it was pretty mature for my age. Oh, I was pretty mature for my age, but I just don't think young can be much more mature, but mature can reach much. Yeah. I mean, I kind of, yeah, I understand that. But I definitely went to school with some kids that were born at the age of 40. They skipped the, you know, doing daft things and learning phase. Like they are the same people now as they were when we were at school. Oh, excuse me, I'm so sorry. Yes, 21 in the head, 21 forever. You had a beach party for your 40th. That sounds like fun. It's not really worth doing here. Most of our beaches are just pebbles or massive stones. But that sounds like a lot of fun. I missed the big 40th birthday because of COVID. My other half said he had a thing planned, and COVID hit. We ended up in lockdown at the end of March, and we were still locked down over my birthday, so we weren't able to do anything. And we've like he said to me, he's done this several times, but he said to me that, we'd rearrange it as soon as the lockdowns were over, and I think it's just slipped his mind. It's just, I'm never going to end up with a 40th birthday. Birthdays suck. I never end up with, or I very rarely end up with a birthday that uh, is what we had planned. Um, well, you've got like 20 years for the world to sort itself out and for us to all make it over to you for your birthday. And you know, I think I speak for everyone when I say we will do our best. Hey Zayden, how are you doing, my friend? So there is a possibility of those who grew up in a serious upbringing which didn't allow them to be a kid when they were when they were kids. Then they ended up becoming kids rebelliously. Yeah, I know a few people who ended up doing that too. Loopy, I wish I could, but it will not happen. There is no chance that it'll happen now. Um, long story, but there is background to, you know, knowing that that's true and that's how it's gonna go. Um, uh, yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, COVID didn't change our lives much. Um, but other than it was those things, it was birthdays and stuff. Your truck has 201,000 miles on it, and it has almost nothing done to it. Wow. How is your truck still running? That's unreal. Uh, Temp, in my head, you are 20. Just accept it, please. Accept it. Wow. That's amazing. You seriously, you don't even need reading glasses, in your 60s is amazing. You have a seriously good set of genes there, sir. Um, yeah, what year is that truck? You've never had a party. Did you have a party as a kid? Um, I to be honest with you, I've never had a birthday party that I wanted. Um, oh, we need a joint 40th where we go back and we all do 40 at the same time. just just have a bit of an ease up. With karaoke. A 2006 Ford Ranger, so it's 17 years old. Um, so what's that? 12,000 miles a year, something like that. It's not bad. Um, it's doing pretty well. I'm impressed. Uh, uh, I don't think the world will still be. I think the world will still be here, Temp. I really do. I really, really do. I believe it. And if I believe it, you've got to too. Um, yes, we absolutely do need to plan something for the big 4-0. Um, that's okay. That's okay. I put two and two together, but I'm amazed at both you and your truck. Um, I haven't seen Baldur's Gate 3, but my brother is playing it at the moment. He got it, and he's having a blast with it. He's really enjoying it. Um, sorry, I'm a flying thing. Sorry, I'm catching up on chat. Wow. Are we kind of the same person? Sounds like a birthday I would have. I love you, Yvonne, and if we can ever organise a get together, we will make it a party for you. Um, ooh, that's interesting. Awesome. Um, uh, I've owned a 2000 Ford Ranger. I bought it used. It lasted a good while. Taking care of our vehicles like a baby helps, and taking care of ourselves too. Am I right? Um, so you're going to be playing Baldur's Gate 3 on Twitch, starting from scratch. Would you like to drop your Twitch link in case anyone needs it, Temp? Um, uh, Sorry, that tickled me. The secret, the secret to keeping your car really nice is hitting a deer once a year. It's not something I'd recommend. I don't think that's a great idea. I really like the American RAV4s. I re I really do. They are different to our RAV4s over here. I really like them. I did a road trip back in 2001, I think. Kind of went and stayed with some friends in Texas, and then we did a road trip from we went up to Oklahoma and across, and we went all the way to the Grand Canyon and then worked our way back, doing kind of Zion and arches and stuff like that. And we did that in a RAV4, and I fell in love with them. I really did. And I got really excited when I saw one here, and it was different. It just wasn't the same. Our RAV4s are really tiny compared to yours, mainly because our roads are really tiny. Um, doo, doo, doo. You don't have to have Twitch to be able to watch if you want to. Oh, that's very clever. 6 deer. You've hit 6 deer in 17 years. I shouldn't laugh. I shouldn't laugh. That's one every 3 years. I know you live in Illinois, but not all of Illinois is rural, right? Like deer every 3 years. That's amazing. Do you know, in all of the time I've been driving, I have been hit once by an animal, and it did hit me. It was a pheasant, and it flew into the side of my car, and it scared the life out of me, and left feather prints. It left this outline on the side of my car. Ford Rangers run on animal sacrifice. That is so dark. That is so dark. Oh, wait, hold on. Sorry. 6 deer in 3 years. 6. 2 deer a year? Wow. That is wild. Like, we're really rural here. We don't hit that many animals. Wow. Do you have you now got to a point where you hit one, you kinda go, "Ugh, not again?" Or does your insurance company go, "Yes, okay, 55 Ramius. You've hit another deer, have you?" That's wild. Uh, sorry, just catching up on chat. Um, yeah, I'm sure that's the case. I mean, I don't know, kind of trying to compare our roads to roads over near you, and I don't know how comparable some of our roads are to Puerto Rico or other places like that. Yes, I am not surprised. Like, if that happened here, they'd just cancel our insurance and bin us off. Um, sorry. Really interesting you should say that, Andy. We have a Mini Cooper Clubman downgraded from a 2004 Dodge Ram, which took a tractor hit, 5 tons of sod, and towed my life down to Florida in 2016. That's that Dodge Ram did really well. Um, that Dodge Ram did really, really well. Uh, yeah, but 6 deer in 3 years. That is gonna keep me chuckling for a long time. Yeah, definitely makes it look like new again. A badger fronted up to my ex's car. It refused to move over, when he revved, and hit the horn. Yeah, badgers are really hard. They don't care. They know they're gonna mess up your car. They really don't care. Badgers are our equivalent of wombats, for that, because what wombats will ruin your car and get up and walk away. Um, you've only seen wild deer once. That's really sad. That's really, really sad. Where the kids are at the moment, they get deer in the garden, and just stood out in the lane. But yeah, they get deer down there all of the time. Um, grew up with that. It wasn't uncommon to look out your window in the morning and there was a deer in your back garden. Or take the dogs for a walk and you'd catch something moving out the corner of your eye, and it would be a fawn kind of lying down, and the only reason that you saw it or noticed that there was something there is because it flicked an ear, because they're really good at camouflaging. Um, yeah, that it sounds like an add-on extra. Yeah, where do you stand with roadkill over there? Because we have a really weird law. If you hit something, you can't stop and pick it up, but the person driving directly behind you can. Um, so a weird law that was never repealed. Um, yep, minis are surprisingly well laid out, but they are like driving a go-kart. Um, uh, yeah, a badger is just going to stand there and go, "Go on then." Uh, yeah, you need a snowplow or a cattle catcher, like on the front of old timey trains. Um, oh, Zayden's behind, but he's catching up, which is good. Do I sound like a chipmunk? Am I on 2 times speed? Um, yeah, is it the same deer over and over again? Like that deer has got some kind of grudge. Is that deer's name Karma? Um, uh, that's hilarious, Yvonne. That is so funny. Oh, wow. Yeah. Oh, excuse me. Uh, ever hear the lady that requested to relocate the deer crossing sign to help the wildlife? No, do tell. Um, it's not weird. It's so that someone won't hit a person, then put the body in its trunk and drive off to get rid of it. Oh, that got dark. That got so dark. That's okay, Zayden. I listen to everything. If I'm watching videos, I listen to them on 2 times speed all of the time. So no judgment from me. I'm probably more interesting at 2 times speed. Wow. That's scary. We get that again where the kids are. Um, horses and cows and sheep and stuff crossing the road. Um, and yeah, they'll big bucks will go through the windshield. There's been more than a few fatalities, someone hitting a deer because it's 40 mile an hour all the way around that area because of the amount of animals that are just roaming around. And people take it much faster than that. But a deer going through your windshield at 40 is dangerous enough. Anything more than that, and unfortunately, you're going to end up, kebabbed. Um, oh, that is very sweet. But the deer don't read the sign; they just cross. The traffic needs to pay more attention. But that is very sweet. Um, Now, over here, the actual reason for it is so that back when poaching was more of a thing, is so that people didn't hit animals on purpose, so that they got free meat. There was no bonus to you doing it, but what they didn't think of was some guy hitting a deer and his mate following him picking it up. But yeah, it's so that you don't kill animals on purpose for free meat. Um, at least here. Uh, yeah, I mean, I don't think it's a silly law. I think at the time when the law was introduced, definitely not a silly law. I mean, these days, I don't think there's many people left who would stop and pick up an animal that had been hit by a car. Um, uh, I think moose would turn your car into soup. Um, I would not want an argument with a moose in a car or otherwise. To be honest with you, I think they would ruin a tank's day. Um, um, and yet there are wolves only highways. You know, are we just not giving the deer a chance to prove to us that they're smart? Um, uh, Black Mirror is dark. Yeah, you don't like true crime, but Black Mirror, absolutely fine. Um, yeah, I mean, here it's nothing to do with kind of hitting people. Um, it's all about, scrumping and poaching. Uh, that is one mega tough deer. I mean, like everything in America, it's probably bigger than our deer over here. Right? Just the same as your houses are bigger, and Texas is 3 times the size of the UK and all of the islands around it. Uh, I wouldn't. Like, they look like they're bumbling around, but they're not, and they are big. If that thing bucks you off and then tramples you, you're gonna know about it very briefly. Um, yeah, I don't know whether I'd wanna ride a moose. It's like a camel. I have no desire to ride a camel either, or an elephant. I'd like to meet an elephant, but, um, yeah, I'd you know, uh, doo doo. Oh, yeah, Loopy Miracle, you definitely go and start cooking dinner. Um, uh, yes, you are no longer allowed to watch true crime. Mm-mm, not for you. You're not having veal then, Loopy? Have we gone vegetarian for this evening because of these conversations? You've ridden a camel. I've heard they're ornery. I've heard they're quite grumpy, much like myself. On that note, I would like to hear this story at some stage, Steve, but it is just gone 10 o'clock here in the UK. And you all should be thinking about dinner and settling down for the afternoon and relaxing. Thank you so much for being here. I really, really appreciate it. And I will speak to you. I will see you next week for next Friday's live. But I am hoping to get a couple of videos out this week. Hopefully things won't quite be so manic and you'll hear from me on other topics. Do remember to interact with the community tab on the page. There'll be polls up there and other bits and pieces for you to interact with, because I'd really love your thoughts and feelings on a few subjects. But thank you so much for being here for the stream, Ramius and Steve and Loopy Miracle and Zayden and Yvonne and Dingo and Tamp and Steve, if I didn't say that before. And Steve, have an amazing birthday on Sunday. Really appreciate you all. And I will speak to you next week.